Shelby, and I'm an author, and I like to come on here every now and then and share my process of writing. And today's topic is going to be what you do when you get your book back from a developmental editor. Because for me, when I got this back the first time, as it was expected to have a lot of comments, it was really overwhelming to go through 150 pages, just single spaced in Word, not formatted at all, and go through hundreds of comments. So I'm gonna just talk about 8 points that help me go through the process. And this was actually really helpful to write out and document because I just got a developmental edit back on my next book that I'm hoping will be out in June, maybe July. And I know that there are a lot of comments and it's overwhelming to see all of them. And writing this out and these pieces of advice helped me. So I'm hoping that as I go through my book, I can take my own advice. So step one, or the first thing, is to just relax about it. Try and take a deep breath. Know ahead of time that you're going to have a lot of comments. I have 674 comments, I think, in my manuscript right now, and a 5-page letter to go through. So writing a book is one thing, and it's fun and exciting to get to know the book and what's going to happen and know the characters. And editing it and getting it polished is another, because you're scrutinizing every sentence, every paragraph. Does it all work together? Do the characters' arcs make sense enough to go out into the world for other people to read? So it's quite a task, but step one is to just know that you're up against this big task and not to panic and just relax into it. You don't have a time limit. This is step two or tip two. Unless you aren't a self-published author and you have a publishing house that is publishing your book and you have a time limit, then otherwise, if you're a self-published author, I would just suggest to relax and take your time. I think my first 3 books, this is really my 5th book that I'm working on, because I have a free book out there and it's a novella, so a little bit shorter process, but still the same process overall. But I think I rushed through the developmental edit the first few books, and this time I'm gonna try and not put a time limit on myself. With the first ones, I just thought, I'm gonna try and get this done in a week or 2. And yes, I did that on some of them, but it caused a lot of unneeded stress, and I still had to go back through the books a few times because I missed things, and I keep a separate document with notes to add into the book, and it took me longer because I had to go back through and add those things that I probably could have gotten if I would have taken my time the first time through. So tip 3 is to just get started. It sounds silly, but like, I got my developmental edit back 2 or 3 days ago, and I've kind of been afraid to open it up on one hand, but on another hand, I've been too busy. But I first get a letter from my editor, and it was 5 pages. And for me, getting started meant to just read the letter. It was like, why can't I just read the letter? It will probably take me 10 minutes. But I read it and jotted down ideas, and it was overall positive, which is what an editor really should be doing, is giving some positive with the feedback. So tip 4, I think I'm on, I don't know, is not to read through all of the notes and comments in your manuscript. Because like I said, I have 670 something, And this is overwhelming. I started to do this and I thought, well, I want to know what they say about this scene and that scene. What are they saying overall? You can't make all those changes. It's just going to get jumbled in your mind. And I would not suggest doing that. So what I would do is another tip. Ultimately, this is going to make the book better. This is what you hired the developmental editor for. I think on the flip side, you would be upset if they came back and said, oh, it's great. No changes. Yep, go ahead and publish it. Like, really, I'm paying you to tell me that it's good. No, you want these changes. You want to make your book better. And that is what the developmental editor did for you. So just sit back and be like, okay, go into it thinking, I'm doing this to make my book better. Scene by scene, chapter by chapter, note by note. The next tip is you get to read through the book again. And for me, like my first books, I kind of rushed through them a little bit. I mean, I read them like 30 times each, so that's not quite a rush. But then as I learned about marketing and putting teasers out there, I was like, I know there are a lot of really good, beautiful sentences in there that I'd like to share as teasers, but I don't know where they are. I'd have to read through the book in order to jot those down. So this time, as I'm going through and have a separate document that I'm putting those teasers in, and for me, it's kind of a positive slant on it, and I can reread my book in that light and look for those nice sentences that I can share as teasers to the book. So I think the last tip that I have is to just get started. That has been my hang up. Not even just getting started after the book initially comes back to you, but every time you want to edit. Let's say it's the next day and you have a half an hour to sit down and read it, but you know, you've seen this tip before. You see your Instagram and you see emails that you want to do. Just get started. Just read your first paragraph. And for me, I get sucked into it and want to just do more. So my goal is always a chapter a day. And then if a day goes by and I don't get to it, I don't beat myself up. I don't make up that chapter unless I can. But just get started and look for that first note from your editor and see how you can work on that. And then go to the next comment and the next one and just break it down into those little pieces. And I hope that by doing that and by using some of these tips, it will help you. And ultimately, you will get to the end of the book and it'll be great. And you'll have answered most of the comments, if not all of them. Don't feel like you have to answer all of them or make all of the changes. But I hope that helps. Let me know what you're working on and what some of your tips are.